So God bless. Thanks for allowing me to share at the end of our year. What a great year on Fruit of the Spirit, hasn't it been? Nellie has led us through the year. I haven't got to be there a whole lot, as much as I could, though, that's for sure. Well, the 9 fruits. Let's begin in Galatians, you guys. Galatians 5:22. Let's read our theme verse together. Now, next year we have a whole new theme. Nellie's working on something special for us, so she will announce that next month, I believe. So it's December 3rd, we decided, right? Yep. At Madonna's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you guys, looking forward to that. It's going to be great. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it, but everyone else hopefully can. And Galatians 5, verse 22. But the fruit of the Spirit, let's say them together, is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith. We'll go into 23, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. That's because of love. That's why there's no law. Thank God for love. Love is the foundation. Love is the reason, So the greatest part about this fruit, and that God made it available for us to manifest, is so we can be like his nature. Isn't that wonderful? Thank God for that. I mean, we can't have all of his authority, but we can have some of it. And we can definitely put on these fruits as best as we can. The first 3, love, joy, and peace. Those are the character changes that happen inside of you. Like, it's all about you, the first 3, love, joy, peace. So I love that God put those first, that we are to put on the love. That's the foundation. That's the motivation. That's the internal things of your heart, the love, the joy that you manifest, and the peace that is yours because of him. This is speaking to all born-again believers, believing that all of you have Christ within you, which I know you do. First 3, love, joy, peace. Okay, that's all about you. Now the next 3, long-suffering, gentleness, and goodness. Those are the 3 that are all about working with people, like being gentle to people, being kind to people. It's long-suffering, being patient with people. Maybe you have to say things over and over and over again. It's okay till they get it. You have the fruit in you to be long-suffering. You have the ability to be kind no matter what. You have the ability to be gentle no matter how rough you may seem, but you have that ability because of God in Christ in you. So those 3 are all about working with people, okay? Now the last 3, those are faith, meekness, and temperance. Temperance, a lot of translations say self-control. It's a little easier to make sense to our minds. So, faith, meekness, and temperance, those 3 are all about results. Like when you believe, you see results. When you are meek, you're obeying God, you're a servant to people, you start seeing results. Start seeing fruit in your own life. When you have self-control, you see results. So those 3 are results, okay? We started out the year saying that, ended the year saying that, because it's true. Isn't that great? Throughout the year, we got to hear teachings on love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, and self-control. And they were all fabulous. They're all on the website now. So we know that love is the foundation. It's the motivation. How many know John 3:16 in the room? Yes.
I've been to a ball game.
John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth on him should not perish, but have everlasting life. Well, what's so cool is that God so loved that he gave. So here we really see about that love is giving. I mean, when you love, you want to give. You want to give everything. My mom gave everything away. When she died, I went to her home and she had just a ham bone in the refrigerator, just an empty ham bone. That's all that was in the refrigerator. She had one nightgown left, but it had holes. I kept it because I thought there's one thing she didn't give away. I'm keeping that one. And her Bible. I got to keep her Bible. That's all I really cared about anyway. But she gave away everything. But she loved. She was the greatest lover. I mean, to a fault. she had nothing left. But anyway, love is giving. Isn't that great? So let's see what the Bible says what love is. Let's go to 1 John, please. 1 John. Let's look at 1 John 5, verse 3. For this is the love of God. Here it is. We're going to hear what it is. We need a drum roll here. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. Wow. There it is in a nutshell. This is what the love of God is, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. In John 13, let's go to John 13. We're going to find out about those commandments. When Jesus Christ came, the words he said was John 13, verse 34. He's going to tell us that a new commandment I give unto you, that ye love one another. We talked about this at the Women's Advance. The new commandment, that we love one another as I have loved you, that ye also love one another. Oh my gosh, it's just all about love, isn't it? Isn't that great? It is. And, you know, that's not grievous. It's not grievous to love you. I mean, it's just fantastic to love you. And verse 35, and by this shall all men know that you're my disciples. And that's like Joan said, she was talking about, it's what you do, you know. It says, by this shall all men know that you're my disciples, if you have love one toward another. It's not grievous at all. It's easy and it's needed that we love each other. We strengthen each other. We give each other hope. We can share the joy with each other. The next one is joy. Let's take a look at joy. Hebrews 12, we don't have to go there, but you guys know about Hebrews 12, for the joy that was set before him. You know, that's probably one of the most intense verses I've ever, you know, for the joy that was set before him. It doesn't describe exactly what that joy was. We can only imagine. And we don't even know how really full, to what extent he really knew what was going to happen. But he knew it was big, and he knew he was obeying God, and that gave him great joy. For the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross. But you can take a look at John 15. I'd like to go to John 15:11 with you. I'm going to cover all 9. So we're at joy right now. Joy 15:11. These things have I spoken unto you. This is Jesus Christ speaking unto us, okay? He says that my joy might remain in you, that your joy might be full. Isn't that great? So we have his joy in us so that our joy can be full, complete, completely complete. It's available to have that joy. Now, how do you get it? Well, you can work the word joy in the word, and it will delight your soul. It talks about the rivers bring forth joy because the leaves clap their hands, and the rivers bring, you can hear the joy. So like he talks about joy in nature. He talks about joy in ointments, and it's a great word study on joy. It will help you bring the joy that's in you, that's talking in this verse that says that your joy that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy will be full. It will help you with your fullness of joy by working that word. Believe me, it is tremendous. The also thing that joy does is it gives you strength, because the joy of the Lord is your strength. That's Nehemiah 8:10. It's that half of 10b. It's that last part of Nehemiah 8:10, where it says the joy of the Lord is your strength. When you feel weak, when you feel downtrodden or sad, you think of the joy of the Lord and that he's coming back. He's coming back. And we will see all the people that we loved, and we will see them and get to talk with them and be with them and walk with them again. And that joy is so great and so deep and so wonderful. And that's why it is our strength. It keeps us going. The joy of the Lord is our strength. So I encourage you all to work the word joy. It will give you strength. In 1 Chronicles 16:27, if you want to write it down, some versions are a little different. This one version says, splendor and majesty are before him, strength and joy are in his dwelling place. So you know that when you're walking in joy, you're in his dwelling place. So when you're walking in joy, you're walking in fellowship with God, you're in his dwelling place where he lives. And that gives you great strength. You know, there's so many on joy. I really loved it, so I kind of went overboard. But Psalm 30, verse 5, it says, for his anger endureth but a moment. His anger endureth but a moment. In his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Isn't that great?
I know, I love that.
Yes. So it's like, sure, you might be sad for a time. There's a time, but joy will come in the morning. It's a promise. There will be joy eventually. Even when a woman has a baby, Nellie let me sit in the hospital on her bed when she had Faith, the baby named Faith. But she had faith also, man. It took a lot of faith to do that. I tell you, I've never had a baby, but I was holding her hand. And I tell you, there was some anguish and it was hard. She was pushing. But man, when that baby came out, there was great joy. Well, after the umbilical cord came out, because that's another thing. But then there was great joy to see baby Faith. And isn't she fabulous? She is a culmination of all the babies, of all the kids. And she is a pistol. I just love her. And to see her come out there like that. So she's coming out and the nurse goes, oh, I'm not ready. I have to put my gown on. I'm like, what? Get your gown on. Hurry up. Because we weren't allowed to touch the baby. Only the doctor is. Not even the nurse who was standing behind her couldn't. But the doctor said to me that she has never seen a woman so peaceful as Nellie. I said, well, she's had experience. No, I said, well, she's got Christ in her. A little of both, a lot of both. But there was anguish, and it says that. Let's take a look at where it says that in the Bible. It's pretty cool. Go to John 16, verse 21. Just the page over. So it says that a woman, when she is in travail, hath sorrow, because her hour is come. It's going to hurt. It's going to be some anguish there a little bit. But as soon as she is delivered of the child, she remembereth no more the anguish for joy that a man is born into the world. Oh, did it say man or woman? That a woman is born into the world.
Man.
I know. It says man, but we all know.
Yeah, we all know.
This is Women's Day, right? No, okay. For joy that a baby's born into the world. See, she forgets about it, And so, but it makes her stronger. It gives her strength, because the joy of the Lord is her strength. See? So may go through it a little while. So if you're not feeling strong in the Lord, work that word joy. Really bless you. Let's go to peace. Okay, the next fruit's peace. It passes all our understanding. It's because that peace is so deep. It's hard to put into words. You know, it passes your understanding. There's a knowing, there's a peace in your heart that comes with God in Christ in you. When Sheila taught peace a couple months ago, she talked about when Jesus, she used the example of Jesus Christ bending down, writing in the ground when that woman was caught in adultery. He was getting peaceful. That's how she described it. And I thought, wow, that's a great description. You know, he was asking, I don't know, I can only assume he's asking God. I can't assume anything really, but because the word doesn't say, but I would think, you know, he'd be asking God, you know, what do I do? I want wisdom. I need knowledge. You know, you just get peaceful sometimes in situations where people are just right up front in your face. You just take a minute. You get peaceful and ask God what to do. See that happen to Charlie all the time. People will call him and he'll just get quiet for a minute and then he'll know what to say, what to do. It's really cool. So he was listening to God. So that was cool. In Luke 22, let's go there. Luke 22. We're going to read for a little bit in Luke. So Matthew, Mark, Luke 22. I'm going to start in 42, okay? These teachings, a lot of them are up on the website. They're so good. If you guys want to review, you know, if you're working anything special, you can go to and see them. Luke 22, I'm trying to find 42, Luke 22, sorry. Okay, got the old-fashioned Bible here. Okay, here he is saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. Boy, can you imagine the meekness there? Not my will. How many times do we want to do our will in life? We just want to do, oh, I want to get that car. I want to get that job. Is it my will? Is it God's will? God, is this your will? Just ask him, stop a minute, get peaceful. Say, God, is this your will? What is your will in this situation? The peace of God, which passes all understanding, will give you the correct answer. He said, nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. I know it's a weird verse on peace, but to me, you got to have peace when you finally let go and you say, God, not my will, but yours be done, you know? The next verse is pretty interesting. 43, and there appeared an angel unto him from heaven and strengthening him. Bet you that strength gave him joy. I bet you he got his joy because who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross? That angel strengthened him. And do you know that when we strengthen each other, we get our joy back? We do. There are times when, you know, your sister in Christ has just comforted you and ministered or prayed for you, got your joy back. Yeah. Got your happy dance back on. You know, I know, right? So we do for each other. The next one, let's go to long suffering. Now we're going to talk about, so those three were the ones all about your character, about you, okay? Love, joy, peace. Now we're going to talk about working with others. Let's talk about long suffering or patience. Okay, I'll use this example. Let's go to John, the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. We're in the Gospels a lot today. John 11. So in John 11, now listen to this. He did it twice. Jesus Christ groaned in the spirit. Now, and then he groaned again later, groaned in himself. Okay, so look, let's go to John 11 verse, let's start in 32. Okay, so this is about, you guys know, this is about Lazarus' death. Okay, Jesus loved Lazarus. I mean, we know this, it says it, but start in verse 32. Then when Mary was come where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying unto him, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother had not died. And in verse 33, when Jesus therefore saw her weeping, and the Jews also weeping, which came with her, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled, and said, Where have you laid him? And they said unto him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Now, it doesn't say all the reasons he groaned in the spirit up here, so we can't assume. He just groaned in the spirit. This, to me, is like long suffering. He was patient with them. If you've got to really understand and read this whole record, we just don't have time. It's the entire chapter of John 11 to understand all of this. When you read the entire chapter, I believe you will see it as I saw it, as being patient with people and long suffering.
Yeah, that's a tough situation.
Because, and then verse 37, Jesus wept in verse 35. And you don't often see his emotions. You don't often, I don't believe there's another verse that says he's wept. He's cried. You don't see him crying much. We don't hear of this. So this was a big deal. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, and bloods of,
Tears like blood.
yep. Like, yeah, sweat like tears of blood. So there are times, not a whole lot though, with emotion, right guys? So Jesus wept in verse 36. Then said the Jews, behold how he loved him. He showed his love right there. Like Joan says, you show it, right? Verse 37. And some of them said, could not this man which opened the eyes of the blind have caused that even this man should not have died? I mean, you know, he helps people see who are blind. He puts ears back on people. Can he just? And so here, so verse 38, Jesus therefore again groaned in himself. Oh, he comes to the grave, and it was a cave, and the stone lay upon it. It was heavy, you know. And Jesus said, take away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, saith unto him, Lord, by this time he stinketh, for he hath been dead, you know, for days. I mean, you can imagine. Blitz is not even compared to anything. In verse 40, Jesus said unto her, said I not unto thee that if thou wouldest believe, thou shouldst see the glory of God? That's one thing. With faith, we're going to see soon coming up is that we always see the glory of God. When you're believing and you see miracles, signs, and wonders, it gives God the glory. And always give God the glory. Verse 41, then they took away the stone from the place where the dead lay. And Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard thee. And I know, I knew that thou hast heard me always, but because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. See, I believe this is long suffering because he said it for the people standing by. That's why he said it. But isn't that a key that he gave thanks to God? God, I thank you that man is going to walk out of the cave. He thanked him first. Isn't that a great key? So when you want something in your life, you thank God for it. You thank God for the answer.
God got glory.
And then God will get the glory. And then he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And Lazarus came forth. So that was just a little kind of an example that I could find on peace and long suffering, you know. The great key is thankfulness. As we go on to kindness and gentleness. Wow. Some versions say kindness, some versions say gentleness, as Sheila explained in her when she did the fruit of the Spirit on this teaching. If we go to Matthew 11:29. I know this is a little longer. I was going to be the only teacher, but when somebody's got something burning on their heart, I never want to squelch it. We are women who want to hear the word, and that's why we're here. Matthew 11, verse 29. Verse 29, take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Wow. Okay, so first we are to take my yoke upon him, and we're supposed to learn of him. Well, how else can we learn of Jesus Christ unless we've been taught, unless we read the word? How else are we going to learn about him? So we got to learn of him. And he says, for I am meek and lowly in heart. He's lowly in heart. And ye shall find rest unto your souls. So if you're unrestful, you know where you go? You learn of Jesus Christ. You learn how he found peace through God, his Father. We will find rest. It says it's a promise, and you will find rest to your souls. So it is a promise that is available. His yoke is easy and his burden is light. We learned about that at the women's advance too, about helping each other with burdens and being a burden bearer for each other. I thought of another one here in Ephesians 4:32. This one just blessed me. Ephesians 4:32. Ephesians 4:32. And be ye kind one to another. Could have stopped right there, but he kept going. Tender-hearted. Be kind one to another. Isn't that great? And be tender-hearted. What is that? Tender-hearted is like kind of be intuitive to people. When your heart is tender, it means you're listening, you're watching, you're looking, you're observing, you're tender with them. Be tender-hearted with people, forgiving one another. What a verse. Whew. Forgiving one another. Even as God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. And that's why God for Christ's sake hath forgiven you. That's why you can be kind and tender-hearted. That's why you can forgive, because God forgave us. We need to do that for one another and walk in great grace and mercy towards one another. Not be hard. It didn't say hard-hearted. It said be tender-hearted.
The Pharisees were so hard-hearted.
Yeah, the Pharisees were so hard-hearted. And Sheila said that in that teaching right before me. You're right. And we are to be the opposite, tender-hearted, kind one to another, forgiving one another. Well, we're going to the next one's goodness. Now, goodness, ooh, it's got a backbone in it. Goodness has a backbone in it. There's one woman I know, she can reprove me, and I don't even know it till later on. I thought, ooh, I think I just got reproved. But she does it so lovingly. It is so awesome, and I love her for it. She's a good woman. It's goodness. It has a backbone in it. Let's go to Matthew 16. Found something like this in Matthew 16. I was just looking through, seeing where Jesus Christ had all these fruits in his life, and also what I could learn from them. And Matthew 16, because it says, learn of me. So I want to learn of him, right? Matthew 16, let's go to verse 23. But he turned and said unto Peter, get thee behind me, Satan, thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those things be of men. If you ever have a girlfriend, you guys know, if you've had a girlfriend who's thinking all about herself, it's all about her, right? She's thinking all about the things of the world, things of men. You got to just help her turn to God and start thinking about the things of God. Why? Because then she'll be tender-hearted and she will be forgiving and loving and all of these beautiful fruits of the Spirit. You just help each other walk. You strengthen each other with the joy of the Lord in your heart. You see? All the fruits kind of tie together, but that foundation is love. doing it all with the great love of God in your heart. So he reproved Peter pretty harshly. I mean, get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense to me. But he needed to be that way with Peter. Now, some people need to be that bold with you because you're going 50 miles an hour towards the way of the world and not of God, but the way of men. And so sometimes they got to slap you upside of the head like Jesus Christ did with Peter. Get thee behind me. I mean, don't you think Peter went, whoa?
Yes.
I mean, that was attention getter, you know. Some people might need that. It's the goodness of God. We're talking about the goodness fruit here. And sometimes I tell you, it's got a backbone in it, but it's all done in love. We always want God to get the glory, always. When I was working this, I kept seeing all these different fruits, but they were backed up by strength or ministering by angels, or they were backed up with believers coming in and helping with the fruits. And that's the mystery of God, where we help each other, which is so cool. So pretty interesting. And also God can get the glory. That's always the bottom line. And God did get the glory here, but that's another record to read. It's Matthew 16, that whole chapter there. Going to faith next, which is in the next chapter pretty much, Matthew 17. Let's go to verse 20. And Jesus said unto them, because of your unbelief, for verily I say unto you, if ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed. So how big is a mustard seed? Does anybody know? Tiny. Fatima says tiny. Like her. You got a mustard seed? Oh, come here, come here. Okay, Fatima has the grain of the faith as a grain of a mustard seed. So we will look at her faith right now. Here's Fatima's faith. It's the.
You can't really see it.
Oh, that's a big one. Oh, you got a lot of faith. Oh my God.
You see it's in there, the tiny dot.
Oh, it's a dot in there. Okay. Okay, I can barely see it. But anyway, it's in there. It's like a little, it looks like an ant. No, it doesn't even look like an ant. I can't even hardly see it.
It's like a seed.
Okay, a seed. It's a mustard seed, a little thing. So that's how little it is, you guys. So it says, if you have faith as a grain of a mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible for you. So you could say, move to yonder place, and nothing. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And that's how little. It's just like Dr. Darnell told me. He goes, it's just a leap. But it's in your mind. It's, you know, it's all in your mind. So that's kind of how big you need to start with anyway, right? Faith involves prayer. Man, gotta pray. Talk to God. Ask God for more faith. Ask God. He'll give you faith. 2 Corinthians 1, verse 24. I know we're moving a lot around the Bible, but you know, isn't it great? What else are we, why are we here, right? 2 Corinthians 1:24. Not for that we have dominion over your faith. So like Sheila was saying, it's those, not to be a leader over your faith, but are helpers of your joy. For by faith you stand. We're helpers of each other's joy. We're helpers, and we pray together and believe God together. You see, we're helpers together. We're helpers of our joy, so that by faith you stand. And you stand, Kimberly. That's how we do it. We help each other stand. In Luke 22, so many of the verses with fruit involve strength and joy and prayer. Wow. Luke 22, verse 32. We're in the Gospels a lot. We're looking at Jesus Christ's life and how he had displayed the characters of all these fruits. Luke 22:32. But I have prayed for thee that thy faith fail not. And when thou art comforted, And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brother. So see, he says, so for I have prayed for thee. He prayed that his faith would not fail. And when he had done that, when his faith had not failed, then strengthened thy brother. You strengthen each other. You see that? Isn't that cool? And Sheila mentioned this about meekness. The next one's meekness. It's about being a servant. It's not being about puffed up. It's about being a servant. Being servants among you. In Luke 22, we're right here, so it's easy. It's Luke 22, verse 26. Let's take a look. But ye shall not be so, but that he that is greatest among you, let him be as the younger, and he that is chief, as he that doth serve. So let the chiefest among you serve the most. You get that? Mm-hmm. They're not to be served, they're to serve. That's what the leaders do. That's what they're supposed to be doing. That's God's will. Let's look over at verse 42 here in the same chapter. Saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. Yes, we need God's will to be done. Yep, and then we read that too again in verse 43, how the angels strengthened him, came and strengthened him. So, we're not alone. Jesus Christ was alone. He had God, but we have all of us, we have each other to strengthen and to help bring our joys back when our joy is growing dim. Last one, self-control. Let's go to Matthew 4. We're going to finish up here pretty soon here. Matthew 4. Self-control. Marty just taught on that, and she said, yeah, it was probably the hardest one.
Yeah, it was hard.
Matthew 4. Yep. Matthew 4. We're going to read all 1 through 11, okay? So we're going to be in Matthew 4 for a little while. Then was Jesus led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. Remember this? Oh, here we go. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward starving, hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he figures the tempter would come when he's hungry, right? Okay, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But Jesus Christ, he answered him and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. Then the devil taketh him up to the holy city and setteth him up on a pinnacle of the temple. And said unto him, if thou be the Son of God, cast thyself down, for it is written, he shall give his angels charge concerning thee, and in thy hands they shall bear thee up, lest at any time thou dash thy foot against a stone. And Jesus said unto him, it is written again, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. And again, the devil did it. You guys know all this. Go down to verse 10. And Jesus said unto him, get thee hence, Satan, for it is written, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shalt thou serve. Well, then the devil leaveth him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. You see, here it is again. Angels ministering. We can minister to each other. It's amazing that always afterwards, God will have someone or an angel, anything, to be there, to minister to you, to give you strength, and to get your joy back. We'll end in 2 Timothy, and you guys all know this one. Let's say this one together. Let's all turn to 2 Timothy. 2 Timothy 1, verse 7. In Timothy 1, verse 7. For God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. And that sound mind is that self-control. He's given it to us. So he's given us power, he's given us love, and he's given us this wonderful sound mind to worship him, to learn of him, to to walk with him, to manifest the fruits of the Spirit. And it's been a great year. And Nellie, you've done a great job with the women. And we just love you, Nellie, for taking charge and leading us and bringing all of us together so many times. And I know it was hard with all your children and all your work. And we love you, honey. And thank you. Thank God for you. And thank you for allowing me to share this. God bless.